Imagine Marcus Aurelios at the end of an exhausting day ruling Rome, not returning to a quiet room with his journal, but opening Instagram. What would he see? Generals showing off marble villas and perfect bodies, politicians attacking rivals in a digital version of the Roman Forum, influencers selling happiness in carefully edited fragments. Would he feel envy, anger, anxiety? Or would he look at all of it with the calm distance of a philosopher who understood the human mind better than anyone alive? Social media is the ultimate Stoic test of the 21st century. It is an arena designed to exploit our deepest weaknesses, our need for approval, our instinct to compare, our attraction to outrage, and our inability to stay focused on what truly matters. You might say the Stoics didn't have Instagram or Twitter. That's true. But they had the Roman Forum, a place filled with gossip, status games, political attacks, and public judgment. The technology changed, human nature did not, and the Stoics left us a manual to survive it. Welcome to the Stoic Lighthouse. This is where ancient wisdom cuts through modern chaos. Our mission is simple: to be a steady light in a noisy world. If you're looking for clarity, focus, and self-mastery, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss what comes next. Today, we'll break down 5 Stoic lessons that can completely transform how you use social media, not by escaping the world, but by mastering your own mind. Number 1, the poison of comparison. How the feed infects the mind. You open Instagram and what do you see? Perfect vacations, sculpted bodies, careers accelerating at impossible speed, relationships that look effortless and flawless. It is a non-stop parade of edited lives. The highlight reel of everyone else's existence, and almost instantly, something subtle happens inside you. You look at your own life, with its routines, struggles, unfinished goals, and quiet frustrations, and a silent conclusion forms. I'm behind. I'm not doing enough. I'm not enough. This is not motivation. This is poison. For the Stoics, comparison is a disease of the mind born from a fundamental mistake, placing your attention where your power does not exist. The Stoic response to comparison is ruthless clarity through the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, who lived at the very bottom of the social hierarchy as a slave, gave us the exact prescription. Epictetus warned, "Make it your study to separate what depends on you from what does not. Ask yourself where good and evil truly reside, not in external things, but in your own choices." The lifestyle you see on your feed, their money, their body, their success, their opportunities, sit entirely outside your control. Spending even 1 second measuring yourself against them is, to a Stoic, a form of madness. It is no different from trying to control the weather or the movement of the stars. The Stoic response is immediate redirection. Instead of asking, "Why do they have that?" the Stoic asks, "What is the next virtuous action available to me right now?" This shift is everything. Modern author Ryan Holiday translates this ancient principle into a language our competitive culture understands. Ryan Holiday explains, "Comparison is the thief of joy. The grass next door is none of your business. You have your own garden to tend." This is not an argument for low ambition. Stoics can pursue enormous goals. The difference is that their energy is not wasted on imaginary competitions with strangers. Their only competition is internal. To be slightly wiser today than yesterday, slightly more disciplined, slightly more honest. The feed tries to pull your attention outward. Stoicism pulls it back home. The next time you feel that familiar sting of envy while scrolling, pause. Recognize what is happening. You are looking outside your circle of control. And then calmly and firmly bring your focus back to the only arena that matters: your own character, your own actions, your own path. Number 2, the rage epidemic. Why the comment section owns your emotions. If comparison is the silent poison of social media, anger is its loud explosion. The news feed, the comment section, political posts, moral debates, outrage headlines, the platforms are engineered to provoke you, to divide people into tribes and turn every disagreement into a personal attack. You read a comment that feels ignorant, arrogant, or hostile. Your chest tightens, your pulse rises. The instinct is immediate. Respond. Correct. Destroy the argument, defend your position, and the moment you do, you've already lost, because now your peace of mind belongs to a stranger with a keyboard. The Stoics had a radical insight about anger. What disturbs us is not the event itself, but the judgment we attach to it. A comment is just pixels and sound, neutral by nature. The suffering begins when you add the story, "I've been disrespected. This person is dangerous. This cannot be tolerated." Seneca, who navigated real conspiracies and insults in the court of Nero, was ruthless in his analysis of rage. Seneca argued, "Anger will not arise if the first impression does not deceive us. We must not give it immediate approval. We must grant it time." The Stoic practice is simple but difficult. Create distance between the impression and your response. In that gap, you interrogate the thought instead of obeying it. Marcus Aurelios offered a brutal dose of realism for moments like this. Marcus Aurelios reflected, "When someone acts shamelessly, ask yourself, is it possible that shameless people should not exist? It is not. Then do not ask for the impossible." This is not excusing bad behavior, it is accepting reality. Expecting the internet to be free of ignorance, cruelty, or stupidity is like expecting winter to be warm. William B. Irvine explains this idea through what he calls internalizing your goals. William B. Irvine explains, "Your goal should not be to win the argument because that depends on someone else. Your goal should be to respond with as much wisdom and calm as possible, because that depends entirely on you." The moment you shift your goal, everything changes. You are no longer fighting to dominate a stranger. You are training your own character. To the Stoic, an outrageous comment is not an enemy. It is an exercise, an opportunity to practice patience, restraint, indifference to noise. The true victory is not having the last word. It is refusing to let someone else's ignorance steal your emotional balance. Real power is quiet, and sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Number 3, the validation trap. Enslaved by likes and approval. You post a photo, a thought, an achievement. Then comes the waiting. A small dopamine hit with every notification, a subtle tension when the likes slow down, a quiet disappointment when the engagement doesn't match your expectation. Without noticing, your emotional state starts orbiting around numbers on a screen. This is not connection, this is dependency. You become a performer on a digital stage, adjusting yourself to please an invisible crowd, and your sense of worth rises and falls with their reaction. For the Stoics, this is a refined form of slavery, because the moment your happiness depends on approval, you've handed control of your inner life to strangers and algorithms. The Stoic antidote to this trap is ruthless. Develop an unshakable internal standard. In Stoicism, only one thing is truly good: character, not reputation, not popularity, not applause. Likes, praise, and recognition belong to the category of indifference, pleasant perhaps, but irrelevant to your value as a human being. Epictetus understood both obscurity and admiration, and he distrusted them equally. Epictetus warned, "If you seek praise from others, you place your confidence in what does not belong to you." The path of nature and the path of popular opinion rarely align. The Stoic does not ask the crowd who he is, he judges himself. At the end of the day, the only questions that matter are private and uncomfortable. Did I act with justice? Did I show restraint? Did I choose courage over comfort? Long before social media, the followers of Pythagoras practiced nightly self-examination for this very reason. Not to impress anyone, but to correct themselves. Modern culture feeds the ego relentlessly, and few voices criticize it from the inside as sharply as Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday explains, "The ego wants recognition. The soul wants effectiveness. One wants to be seen doing the work. The other just wants the work done. Social media is a banquet for the ego. Every post can become a plea. See me. Approve of me." The Stoic uses the same platforms differently, not to extract validation, but to express values, not to chase applause, but to contribute something useful, honest, or clarifying. The shift is subtle, but liberating. Stop posting to receive. If you post at all, post to give. Measure your life not by metrics of vanity, but by metrics of virtue. Because the only approval that can truly free you is not found in likes or comments. It comes from a quiet moment at night, when your conscience looks at your actions and says, "You lived in alignment today." Number 4. The thief of time. How infinite scroll steals your life. What is the most valuable thing you own? Not your money, not your possessions, not even your status, your time. It is the only resource that is completely finite. Every minute spent is gone forever, and social media may be the most efficient time-stealing machine ever created. The infinite feed, short videos, endless recommendations. Everything is designed to keep you consuming without intention. You open your phone to check one thing. A few minutes pass, then 20, then 40, and suddenly a piece of your life has vanished into content you will barely remember. For a Stoic, this is not a minor distraction. It is a serious moral failure, because to waste time is to waste life itself. The Stoic antidote to this theft is not productivity hacks or digital minimalism trends. It is something far older and far more powerful. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. This is not meant to be depressing. It is meant to be clarifying. Death is the ultimate advisor. It forces the only question that matters. Is this worthy of my life? Seneca, who treated time as the most sacred possession, was deeply disturbed by how carelessly people spent it. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Life is long enough if it is well used." If today were your last day, would you spend it scrolling endlessly through other people's lives? The absurdity of the question is the point. Memento mori acts like a filter. It forces every activity to justify itself. Modern writer Oliver Berkman, whose work echoes Stoic realism even without using the label, confronts us with the same truth. Oliver Berkman explains, "The real challenge is not how to fit more tasks into your day, but how to decide what deserves your limited time." The Stoic does not use social media passively. He enters with intention, to post something meaningful, to learn something specific, to contact someone with purpose, and then he leaves. He refuses to surrender hours of his life to algorithms designed to profit from his distraction. Before opening an app, the Stoic asks a simple question: why am I here? If there is no clear answer, he closes it, because every minute given to the trivial is a minute stolen from the essential. And the Stoic treats his time not as something to be killed, but as something to be honored. Number 5, the illusion of connection. Lonely in a crowd of thousands. Social media promised connection. The ability to stay close to distant friends, to meet people who think like you, to build communities beyond geography, and in some ways, it delivered. But it also created a painful paradox. Never have we been more connected, and never have we felt more alone. Likes replaced presence. Comments replaced conversation. Followers replaced friendship. We collect hundreds, sometimes thousands, of digital connections, yet genuine intimacy quietly erodes. For the Stoics, This confusion comes from mistaking quantity for depth. True connection was never about numbers. It was about shared character, shared struggle, and shared time. Stoicism teaches sympathia, the idea that all human beings are part of one living whole. But this was never meant to be abstract or performative. It demanded real participation in the lives of others. Seneca, who wrote extensively about friendship, was clear on this point. Seneca argued, "A friend is someone before whom you may think aloud. That kind of relationship cannot be scaled, it cannot be optimized, and it cannot exist without presence." Long before social media, Aristotle warned about this confusion by distinguishing between different kinds of friendship. Aristotle explained, "Friendships based on utility and pleasure dissolve easily. Only friendships grounded in virtue endure." Social media excels at utility and pleasure. It is efficient, entertaining, convenient. But friendship rooted in virtue requires something far more demanding: time, vulnerability, and consistency. The Stoic does not reject social media, but he refuses to mistake it for community. He uses it as a bridge, not a destination. Messages are used to arrange meetings. Groups are used to organize real-world action. Online contact serves offline connection. Modern thinker Priya Parker, though not a Stoic, reaches the same conclusion through a different path. Priya Parker explains, "Human connection does not happen by accident. It happens when we create intentional spaces where presence is required." The Stoic chooses depth over reach. He would rather have 3 friends who sharpen his character than 3,000 followers who barely know his name. In a world obsessed with visibility, Stoicism quietly asks a harder question: who truly knows you, and for whom are you truly present? Because real connection is not measured in engagement. It is measured in shared silence, honest conversation, and mutual growth. Our journey through the Stoic mind in the digital world comes to an end, and what becomes clear is this: the problems we face online today are not new. Comparison, anger, the hunger for approval, the waste of time, loneliness in a crowded world. These are ancient enemies of the human soul, now wearing modern clothing. Stoicism does not offer a magic solution. It offers something far more demanding: responsibility. It teaches us that social media, like a hammer, is neither good nor evil. It is simply a tool, and a tool can be used to build a home or to crush a hand. The difference is never the tool. The difference is the craftsman. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these 5 digital poisons affects you the most right now? And which Stoic antidote are you willing to practice starting today? Share your experience in the comments. Wisdom grows through honest reflection and shared struggle. If this Stoic guide helped you see social media with clearer eyes, support the channel by liking this video. Share it with someone who feels overwhelmed by the digital world and needs a reminder that the strongest off switch lives inside the mind. And if you're not yet part of this community, subscribe and turn on notifications. Our commitment is to keep applying ancient wisdom to modern power, discipline, and character. In the next video, we'll put one of history's most powerful figures on trial, a man who conquered nearly the entire known world, yet may have lost the one battle that truly matters. His story is not about victory, it's about ambition, control, and the hidden cost of greatness. We'll see what Stoicism has to say about him. We'll leave you with a final thought that applies to every technology humanity has ever created. Mastery is not proven by what you control outside yourself, but by what you refuse to let control you. See you in the next video.